This channel is supported by TrueFire. TrueFire is an online library of lessons from some of my favourite players. There's thousands of lessons on there. You can use the promo code JNC40 to get 40% off of any of their courses. I've been wanting to try this for quite a while since I actually got this, but I've not had the opportunity to because I didn't have a gig for most of November. And so yesterday I finally had a gig. In the daytime I had a duo with an acoustic guitar that didn't work, so I played my telly for that. And then in the evening it was just normal function band stuff. So our band in particular does like a range of kind of pop tunes, rock tunes, that sort of stuff, 80s stuff. Quite a lot of fun. Anyway, I used the Tonemaster FR12. I did get some footage. Essentially, the phone here is leant up against the monitor where I hear front of house, and it's right in front of the Tonemaster. So, in theory, if it was going to sound awful, this is probably the place where it might sound most awful. The rig that I was using for this, I did actually manage to cock this up, which doesn't help. But anyway, I've got the HX Stomp here, the bus which Keith from 5 Watt World sent me, and David Barber, a Keeley Tone workstation, a JHS Angry Drive. I'll do another video on this, and then a Line 6 HX Stomp. Now this is like a hybrid board that I used to send out of here because it splits off on the HX Stomp chain before the amp and IR. So normally I use that into the front of the Mattress Lightning. I've experimented, I'm going to do a video on this as well, experimenting with going back to using a real amplifier just because why not? And again, yeah, I think a lot of this is out of like trying to keep things somewhat interesting when you're playing the same set generally kind of week in, week out. I think part of what us guitarists can sometimes want to do is experiment with other aspects. Maybe that's why we concentrate on the tone, because like playing the tunes is somewhat stale. Right, anyway, so what I should have done is what I've done in this video, where basically in the video here I was just using the HX Stomp, but what you can do is plug out of one of the outputs of your modeler into the Fender input, and then you can take an XLR out. And so I would have done that with one side of the HX Stomp, and as you could hear in the introduction, it doesn't do anything to colour the tone, and it's completely independent of the stuff on top here. So even if you're running the cut or whatever you're doing, boosting the bass, boosting the volume, wherever you're running the volume, it doesn't affect the tone, you know, at least not enough to notice it. I imagine maybe if you did some really scientific A/B testing, maybe it's doing something. So that's how I should have run it. So what I will do next time is, and I think actually I will try this route often at this point now. So I would take either left or right output out of the HX Stomp into here, and then the XLR out of here into the front of house desk. That's how I would do it. So what you're hearing in the clip is actually kind of just pedals and delay into the FR12, and actually it felt and sounded pretty good to play. Now I would say you do need to remember to set whatever output you're using on the HX Stomp to be line level rather than instrument level, because otherwise you might find that this doesn't quite have enough girth to keep up with a drummer. It does, it's 1000 watt, but you probably need to make sure you're giving it a healthy signal, much like with the power cab you had to do that. So yeah, it kept up with a relatively loud drummer and sounded pretty good to me and felt like playing through an amp, all that good stuff. The main thing for me is that it needed to be kind of lighter than your average amplifier, which it is. It needed to sound good straight away, sort of like plug and play, and it does. I've tried that with basically most of the things that I generally use. So Helix with the fractal stuff. I've tried it now just plugging pedals pretty much directly into it. I've tried with the Friedman IRX. It is really working pretty well with all of them. I lent it to my buddy Chris, and I think he really enjoyed it as well. Not too expensive. Again, if an FR is going to cost me about as much as a real amplifier, then I might just go for a real amplifier at this point. You're hearing the hiss right now. Now, I don't know how much this is going to translate. I think if you were using this at really quiet volumes, this example, this specific amp, I think it might bother you. If you run the cut up, that goes. But the hiss does exist. And another point is that I don't want it to sort of like gaslight people online saying that it doesn't exist, because I think it varies quite substantially between units as well. So you can find some clips online where people have used like a sound pressure meter, and I think some people are finding it not too loud, and then there's others that share these phone clips and it sounds really loud. So I think the hiss can really vary. So if I was to get a unit had hissed more than that, I think maybe I'd just consider sending it back, because this is about the sort of level that you expect from like a PA speaker or something like that. It's not obtrusive unless you were kind of playing at really, really low volumes. I like the kickback arms, seems to be really well built. Things like the power cab, I felt like the Tolex was actually a little bit slim, and I didn't think it was going to last particularly well. This seems like it's built better than that. So all round, good news. Just wanted to report back on that as I've tried it now. In the introduction there, I was using my JCB Assman preset, which is based on the new Bassman in the Helix. So if you wanted to grab that from the folder, you could. But it sounds great in the room. Just does exactly what I've always wanted an FRFR to do, especially with the stuff on top where you think, right, this is a bit spiky, I'm going to run the cut up, or maybe I need to cut through more. Also, when you stand to the left, sort of like 3 foot, or to the right 3 foot, it does disperse really nicely. It's not doing this super beamy thing that you can sometimes get with guitar cabs. So all round, a good experience, gives you that kind of feel of an amp on stage. So I think that's, for me, exactly what an FRFR needed to do, and this is the first and easiest solution in a box that I've found. If you hit your head on it in the car, the corners will hurt your head. Bear that in mind. Cheers for stopping by. I hope that's vaguely useful to anyone who's looking for stuff on this. I bought this with my own money. I was sent a power cab a few years back, and I do prefer this, I think, if that's of any interest. Cheers for stopping by. Let other people know your favourite FRFR in the comments, your experience with any of these units. If you found that hiss unbearable, please let people know so that they've got some more data points. Cheers.